Hi everyone, it's Jody from Thornton Hundred. I'm here with Dan from the bike shed. So he's been threatening to come down and have a little look around and check out everything that I'm doing. So today's the day, we're here and we're in my workshop and I'm going to show you guys some cool bikes. I'm going to show you what I'm doing and what equipment I'm using to do it basically. If you step around the dog, hey Red, good boy. Right, so this is a brand spanking new Triumph Rocket TFC. So I picked this up not even 5 days ago and I've completely ripped it apart. Now, what I wanted to do with this bike is basically just get it back to its bare bones so I can figure out what I've got to work with, where the frame goes, where the engine goes, and basically I knew roughly what I wanted to do. So roughly what I want to do is we're going to bash a big old supercharger on the side here. Now I've been working with Richard at TTS and we're going to run a belt up the top here and we're going to have a big old plenum that forces air in, and I'll explain over on that bike over there how a supercharger works in a minute. But basically we're going to be running this thing at about 300 horsepower I'd imagine, so it's going to be an absolute torque monster and it's going to be really quick as well. Now having this bike this stripped down is going to allow me to laser scan the frame so I can get some measurements and know where all the subframes mounted off. Also going to be able to work with Ben at BG Motorsport and create a bespoke Öhlins unit for it as well. We've also got it in the air, we've got the wheels out. I'm working with a company called Jonic who are going to create some beautiful spoke wheels for it. So this bike was a lot of money to buy. It's costing a lot of money to modify, but I think it's going to be worth it. Basically, it's going to be the best of the best. Now, nobody else has really managed to get their hands on a Rocket, especially a TFC, and I've got this one, and I've literally, it's been PDI'd, and I've completely just ripped it apart. So, super excited. If you guys follow my Instagram at Thornton Hundred Motorcycles, you guys will be able to see the progress on this one. It's going to be really cool, and I'm hoping to be at the bike shed in May with it in 2020. And yeah, it's going to be really cool. So if you guys follow me over here, I'm working on a 2020 brand new Triumph Bobber Black, and this one again is supercharged. And I'll go into a little bit more detail in that in a minute, but this one has custom paint. So this is painted here in my workshop with a paint booth at the back there. It's got the custom seat and it's got all the Thornton 100 details up under here with the lights in it as well, which are really cool. And also you've got the indicators in the middle there, which is a nice little feature. We've got the number plate, side mount number plate at the side there, that's all billet CNC machined. And also what I'm becoming a little bit more famous for is my wide wheel kit. So you've got the wide clamps there as well, which are all CAD designed by me and CNC machined. So it's used the original headlight, the original clocks, all of the original equipment as well. Basically this one's waiting for its wheels, so I've worked with a company called Rally Raid and we're essentially making complete custom bespoke CNC machined hubs and having complete custom wheels as well. So this supercharger developed by TTS, I also helped them develop this kit as well for the bobber, and essentially what it is an extension of the crankshaft and a pulley that spins a belt, and then basically that spins the supercharger here. So that's going to spin at 204,000 RPM when you're flat out, and it's going to suck loads of air in, compress it and force it through the intercooler there. If you come around the other side, Dan, then it will come out the back side of the intercooler here and it's going to force it into a plenum, which is in the middle of the engine here, and basically it's going to equalize all the pressure, and basically then we're going to take it from there and ram it into the engine. We've modified injectors in there as well. So we're basically squirting fuel in like a Karcher pressure washer, and we're ramming air in, and basically it's going to make a big bang and we're going to make loads of power. So I'm hoping to see about 130 horsepower at the rear wheel on this one. So this one hasn't got its exhaust in at the moment. If you spin around, you'll be able to see the exhaust that I've been working on for the last few days. Now, if you follow my Instagram, then you'll know that I spend these exhausts take me absolutely forever, and I'm always in here 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning with a Bose speaker on, uploading for you guys to see, and basically yeah, just getting it done. Like I love building these exhausts. It allows me to be so creative with the different bend radiuses, so I can alter the radius as you come through your bend and stuff like that. So talk a little bit more about the exhaust and how I do them on later on. So if you follow me over here, you check out the dog. You're having a good time, mate? So I'm working on a T120, again, brand spanking new. These bikes are all brand new that I work on. I really like working on brand new bikes because I'm not getting covered in dirt, there's no seized bolts, nothing's corroded, so it's great to work on. Now this bike, building this one for Joe Wicks, this one's being completely modified. We're not supercharging this one, but we are making it fast, which is why I have this side of the engine off, and I've got some tricks up my sleeve to make this one go a lot better than a standard bike. So we're going to chop the back off, we're going to put the frame loop on there, we're going to make all custom lights up underneath, we're going to put the Fox shocks on there as well, we're going to play around with the tuning on the engine as well, we're going to build some cool exhausts, and it's going to have a wide wheel kit on it as well. So yeah, it's going to be really cool. Really excited again to show you guys what this one's going to turn out like. It's got the Motone cases on the side there. I'm going to use the original clocks and keep it all looking really cool. So up on my workbench here is what shouldn't be there, but it is there because I'm absolutely flat out. Thornton Hundred has just exploded in the last 6 months and I'm just trying to keep on top of it. So I have 2 bikes stacked up on my what normally is my nice long workbench. Basically this one's finished and this one's finished as well. They're both just waiting for their wheels to come in. So on this bike as well, you can see the pie cut exhausts that I've been building for them. So these are great fun to build, like I was saying before. So they allow me to have complete freedom in the way that they wrap around and then the radius is changed and they come into an X pipe, squeeze up under here and come out the back. I think they just look really cool. Now this one was cut between 7 and sort of, it was cut between 9 degrees and sort of 4 degrees as well, to get the different bend radiuses on it as well. And here's one that I made earlier but isn't quite finished yet. So this one, all of my exhausts run these flanges that I CAD designed. So they're basically got a hole in the side here for the lambda sensor, the oxygen sensor, and they've got a nice little flange so I can weld pipe straight onto there. Now it's got all these pie cuts on, which are cut at 20 mil at the back, and these ones were cut at 7 degrees. And essentially you can see how it all sort of comes together. Now I build these on the bike and they're tacked up as I go along, and then I basically get them on the workbench here and I use my welder to TIG them all up, and yeah, I can create some really cool designs. So the machine that I use to chop that up is my old English trusty cold cut saw. Now this thing runs really slow, it's lovely. So that allows me to chop as well, and I can also alter the angle really nice and easily like that, and very accurately as well. Basically what I'm doing is I'm starting with a big long pipe like this in my 3D printed soft jaws, so that allows me to basically cut the pipe without scratching it. And what I'm doing is I'm creating these pie cuts here, and for those of you that don't know what a pie cut is basically lots of different segments that are cut at an angle either side like that to create a bend. And there's no real advantage to it in terms of power or performance or anything like that. I just think it looks cool and it gives me much more freedom than a standard manual bend would, where you're pretty much limited. I don't have a fancy CNC bender, but with those again you're limited and you wouldn't be able to create the designs and the curves and the bends that I'm creating with these pie cut exhausts. So these exhausts are pretty much one-off and bespoke for each bike, and I'm not churning these aren't high production items. They're literally one per bike, and every single one is different. So I like to make all of my bikes different, complete one-offs as well, and it allows me to keep Thornton Hundred at the higher end of the market as well. Very low production, but like you say, at the higher end. So there really are bespoke one-off bits of kit. So if you follow me through here, you'll see my bandsaw. So this is another part of the kit, one of my tools that I use to basically chop up. I use it for a lot of prototyping and stuff like that. So a lot of the stuff that I do is CAD designed and CNC machined. So this thing is great for just sort of knocking up prototypes and seeing if ideas will work and stuff like that. So on my right here we have the Harrison lathe. Now, old English machines, they're absolutely awesome. They're the best, I think, and this thing is just a workhorse. Now it's great. I don't really use it so much anymore, especially not for the new Triumphs and stuff like I'm doing, but it's really good for knocking up prototypes again, like if I'm just trying to see if something will work, or if I'm trying to make something else or a tool or a drift to basically do something else, then it's a really great thing for that. So I've got my pedestal grinder there that I use for grinding the tungstens on my welder, and I've got this sort of setup of these are all my little trinkets and stuff like that. So I've got these drawers with my alley, I've got my stainless steel, hex steel, and my bronze and brass and all those bits and bobs for making bushes. So this contraption here is my stomp shear. Now, if you follow my Instagram, you'll see me making these mud guards for the wide wheel bobbers on the English wheel. Now, I'll essentially start with a big sheet like this, and then this machine is called a stomp shear because you basically stomp on it. So you slide your sheet in there and you just stamp on it like that. It makes a really loud noise, but you get a nice good cut like that as well. So it's great for just getting through things pretty quickly, and yeah, like creating those bespoke mud guards like that. So over here we have my paint booth. Now you might have to adjust your lighting to get in there to have a little look. It's pretty messy, don't judge, but it's great because we basically have complete filtered paint booth with all the air pressure regulators and the air fed masks and everything. So all the bikes are painted here in the workshop, and yeah, it's really good to be able to have everything under one roof and basically just do everything within Thornton Hundred here, which is great. So we got my welder, my TIG welder, and this is an Artec 201. This machine's great. It's basically, I use it for welding the exhausts, and I basically taught myself how to weld, and I'm self-taught a lot of the stuff as well. So the turning, all the welding and the fabrication techniques, and the CAD as well, and the 3D printing, I basically taught myself all of that. So yeah, it's been a very long learning process, learning curve for me. So for those of you that are still watching, Thornton Hundred, I started just over 3 years ago. And I was basically a disgruntled mechanical engineering apprentice who was fed up of a 9 to 5, and I basically just said, right, I'm going, and I left and I started my first workshop, which was essentially just the back of a shipping container. It had a wooden floor that kept catching fire. So if you go onto my Instagram and scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll basically see what was going on. It was cold, it was damp, and I was building bikes really to the best of my ability. I was begging, borrowing, stealing tools and stuff because I didn't really have any money to basically get myself rolling, get myself started. Now, I built my first proper show bike there, which was my Honda CR 500. That was at the Bike Shed show #1, and that bike really sort of got my name out there and started the ball rolling. And then I had Bike Shed show #2, and I built the XV 750. Now that was built sort of in this workshop. I used to share this workshop with a guy who used to restore classic and vintage motorcycles. Now we had the front workshop there, which was the assembly sort of section, and then we had this section here, which is the basically where all the tools were and basically where the magic happened. So when he retired, I bought all of the tools in here and moved in, and yeah, so everything that you see here now was basically set up just over a year ago. This is where I built my XV 750, and it's also where I built my Ducati Panigale. Now, you guys have probably seen it at the Bike Shed show. There's a video as well, so if you look on my left here, there'll be a link to that video, and you guys can check out that the bike that I did, basically, and how I built it. Well, what features I built into it, like the titanium exhaust, the billet subframe, all the different lovely little bits like the Motor Gadget bar ends, and there was loads of little nice little features in that bike that I built into it that really put Thornton Hundred on the map. So yeah, Thornton Hundred has been since that Bike Shed show last year. Thornton Hundred has really exploded. I've had some really great clients coming in, and as you can see around me, I'm just buried in bikes. It's ridiculous. So this is where Thornton Hundred is at the moment. I'm massively snowed under, but I'm working through it, and each bike, it has its time taken on it. I'm not rushing through anything like that. So I'm working on building a new workshop at the moment, not too far from here. So all this kit in here that you see now is basically going to go. It's going to be replaced with new kit, and I'm going to basically have all new ramps. So I've got a lot more space as well. So I'm going to have lots more space to basically build everything. I'm going to have separated areas as well. So I'm gonna have all my fabrication in one area. I'm actually keeping this workshop as well, so all my paint will still be done over here, and all of my clean works, basically all my clean final assembly, all the laser scanning and 3D printing will be done over at the new workshop. So that's the video done. You guys have got to see around Thornton Hundred, what I'm doing here, a little bit behind the scenes and how the bikes go together and what equipment I use to basically build the bikes. So I'm hoping to be at the Bike Shed show in May with the Rocket 3 TFC and also another TFC bobber. But if not, there's going to be plenty of nice bikes there. I'm going to be knocking around the show, so if you see me, come over and say hi. So thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon. I didn't get a chance to start the bike up while Dan was here, but I finished the exhaust now and it's all welded, so check out how it sounds. A little bit rich because I haven't had a chance to get it on the dyno yet, but once that's all sorted, it'll be running sweet. Before I forget, guys, don't forget to subscribe to the Bike Shed YouTube channel. There's plenty of content on there with cool custom bikes, as well as my video on my Ducati Panigale at the Bike Shed show last year, so check it out.